So hey guys, how are you all? The series name is What If Naruto Fall in Love with Nazuna Nanakusa, so let's start the series. Said boy is now a man, with short spiky blonde hair that end in red tips and two bangs framing each side of his face waving in the wind. His eyes seem to be a mix of deep purple and stormy blue, 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek, a birthmark common in his mother's clan. He is wearing a white pullover hoodie with the design of a roaring nine-tailed fox with storm clouds above on his back and a design of a black sun over his heart. He also has on black pants with black shoes on his feet. Being a human who was raised by yokai after the fall of his clan and later his parents, Naruto was well aware of his relatively short lifespan compared to his loved ones. That's why he's here in Tokyo, after hearing rumors of a very powerful vampire in the area. Are you sure this will work, Naruto? Looking towards his companion and childhood friend, he sweat drops. Where do you get that school uniform, Tsubasa? The girl rubs the back of her head. I thought it looked cute, so I took it. She says, getting into a pose. What do you think? Tsubasa Hinkawa, the first friend Naruto made when he was taken in by the yokai faction, she has grown into a real beauty. Long black hair styled into 2 braids, purple eyes, a shade darker than his own, and glasses she always wore since she was young, even though there was no need for it. The uniform she's wearing has a pink long-sleeve top with red cuffs and a red collar tied by a black bow, a knee-length black skirt, black socks that reach her shin, and brown shoes. 1. She would look like any normal human girl, if not for the black cat ears twitching back and forth on her head and 2 black cat tails swaying behind her back, showing she is a Nekusha, a very rare form of Nikomata yokai. Naruto smiles. I think you look beautiful in anything, Tsubasa. The black-haired girl blushes and hugs him, pushing his face into her large breasts on Naruto. You're such a charmer as always. Getting away from her to prevent himself from suffocating, he begins to speak. Yes, but we're here for a reason. Pouting at him getting away from her, she turns back to the Tokyo skyline. You could have just found a devil to turn you, you know? Naruto scoffs. Devils can't be trusted, especially not after what they did to Kuroka. Besides, I'm not a huge fan of the whole servant thing. She tilts her head. But aren't vampires the same way? Naruto makes a so-and-so gesture with his hand, kind of. But all you need to do is overpower their will with yours, or if worse comes to worse, kill them, or so I've heard. Tsubasa gives him a deadpan look. You're doing this off of rumors alone? The blonde just coughs into his hand. Anyway, could you use senjutsu to find the vampire we're looking for? Staring at him blankly for brushing off her question, she just sighs, takes off her glasses and closes her eyes while breathing in deeply, getting into a meditative state. Her hair turns white, falling out of her braids, showing she is using the natural energy around her, too. After a few seconds she begins to speak, eyes still closed. There are multiple, 3 men and a single woman, and the men are all fighting the woman as she is the stronger one. She suddenly jolts. They've defeated her and took some of her power. Opening her eyes and revealing they are now gold with a slit pupil, she sees Naruto thinking about what he was just told. Which should we go after? Only 2 of the men and the woman were vampires. Pondering for a bit, Naruto nods his head. The woman that lost her power. I really don't feel like getting bit on the neck by a guy. A grin then forms on his face. Where is she? Tsubasa points northeast, about 35 kilometers that way. His grin widens as he begins to stretch before getting in a runner's stance. You know Yusaka is going to kill you for taking a huge leap of faith like this. Naruto looks at her with a small smile. No risk is too great if it means I can spend more time with the people I love. With that statement, the blonde sprints toward the edge of the building they were on, jumping off and disappears in a purple flash. 3. The white-haired Nekushu just stares at the place he was before he disappeared with a smile and a blush on her face. You idiot. She then jumps from the building as well to meet at the place the woman vampire is at. Subway station entrance. Arriving at the station entrance after a series of flashes, Naruto is greeted to the sight of trails of blood leading down the stairs. Shrugging his shoulders, he follows them. When he reaches the end, he spots a gruesome scene. A blonde woman was laying in the subway station in a pool of her own blood, her red and black dress torn from her battle, and all 4 of her limbs had been cut off. Sheesh, is that what Tsubasa meant by taking some of her power? Naruto wonders to himself as he gets closer to the woman, purposely making a sound to get her attention. The woman turns her head and looks into Naruto's eyes. Please help. Deciding to act if he was a normal civilian, he adopts a freaked out expression on his face. Oh my god. Are you okay? Running up to her and kneeling by the blonde woman's side, she lunges and bites deeply into his neck, making him grit his teeth at the pain. Fuck! This hurts more than I thought it would. Naruto hugs the woman close to him to let her suck his blood, and he can already feel the changes being made to his biology. After the woman is done, she moves herself away from him. This boy's blood is to die for. There's so much power dwelling within it. The woman licks her lips to get the rest of the life fluid on the corners of her mouth. With him by my side, I could kill those assassins to get my power back and save Valerie. Her inner musings were cut off, however, as she heard Naruto begin to laugh. Looking at her new thrall, she sees him staring at his reflection in her blood. I can't believe it, it worked. Naruto thinks giddily to himself as he inspects his features. His canines have lengthened, turning into fangs, and his eyes have turned blood red with a slit. And best of all, I can still feel my blessings. This is great. He couldn't resist cackling out loud. Finally, after all these years, he won't have to worry about leaving behind his loved ones anymore. Oh, Nara, did it work? Tsubasa asks as she pops her head from behind a pillar and walks towards her childhood friend. It sure did. I've never felt more alive. I am kind of thirsty though. Ahem. The two turn towards the sound but are surprised to see a young girl instead of the older blonde that was here before. Are you two done? The young girl asks with her hands on her hips while tapping her foot against the floor. Eh? Why are you a little girl now? Naruto asks, confused. The girl's cheeks puff in annoyance, and she begins throwing a tantrum. Those Carmilla assholes stole my power after catching me off guard. She then points a finger at Naruto. You're going to go kill them and get my power back. She yells as her gold eyes turn blood red with slits and glow brightly. Obey. Naruto feels a sudden compulsion to listen to the girl before him. Is this what the master-servant aspect feels like? Well, I damn sure ain't taking orders from anybody, let alone a lowly vampire. Flaring his magic, Naruto easily breaks the servant spell she put on him, shocking the girl. What? How did you do that? She asks in slight panic, backing up at the feeling of his large reserves of mana washing over her. So the rumors were true. Naruto then turns to her with a fanged grin. Let's just say you no longer have any power over me. But don't worry, I'll still help you get your power back. Wouldn't want you to be weak now, would we? Slowly nodding, the girl approaches him and sticks out her hand. You can call me Shinobu. Shaking it, he replies, and my name's Naruto, and this is my friend and partner Tsubasa. Hello. The white-haired Nekisha waves from behind Naruto. Alright. Now that introductions are over, let's go get your power back, Tsubasa. Roger. The yokai gives a salute and closes her eyes in concentration. The closest is the full-blooded vampire, 2 kilometers south. Let's go then. Bending down, Naruto gestures for Shinobu to hop on his back. Come on, it'll be quicker this way. Sighing, the young girl reluctantly climbs onto his back and wraps her arms around his neck and her legs around his waist. Even though he's a vampire now, he's very warm. Tsubasa grabs hold of his hand and the three disappear in a flash, going towards their quarry, Tokyo downtown. Reappearing on a tall building overlooking downtown, the trio begin looking for their mark. There. That's the bastard that stole my right leg. Shinobu points towards a large man with a duffel bag walking down the street. Tsubasa, barrier. Gotcha. Going through an incantation, she slams her hand against the roof of the building and a large translucent dome appears and covers the area. This is a special technique used by yokai to keep humans clear of their fights. Letting Shinobu slide from his back and stand on her own 2 feet, Naruto's face twists into a feral smile as he stares down at the man who felt the barrier go up and is staring in their direction. Tapping a seal on his left forearm, a sword appears in a puff of smoke. It is a standard-sized katana. The sword's hilt is circular-shaped with 4 slight indentations. The center has a silver tone with small triangles and has a golden border, and the sheath is white with gold accents. Jumping from the roof and landing ground with a harsh crash, causing a crater, Naruto looks to the man with a smirk on his face. Excuse me, sir, but I believe you have something that belongs to a friend of mine in that bag. The man's face turns into a scowl. So that woman survived, turned some mortal too. I knew we should have taken her heart as well. He drops the duffel bag and gets into a fighting stance. I don't know what she promised you, boy. His arms suddenly transform into blades. But you better leave now if you want to live. Naruto chuckles. You talk a big game for someone that had to gang up on a single woman to defeat her. The vampire's face twists into a snarl, baring his fangs, showing his annoyance. Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you. In a burst of speed the man takes off towards Naruto, swinging his blade arms to cut off the blonde's head. Finally, some action! Naruto unsheathes his sword, revealing lightning streaks along the entire length of the blade. Let's go! The blonde rushes forward to meet the man halfway. The two clash in the middle, sparks flying from their blades grinding together, leaving the older vampire surprised Naruto could match his strength. Smirking, Naruto puts even more force on the blade before following through his swing, sending the man flying back. You know, I expected more, Naruto taunts, resting the blade on his shoulder. I wonder if the other assassins will be as weak as you. TCH. You cocky brat, Yeah, I'm gonna stop you right there, old man. I'm probably in deep shit with someone back home, and I'd like to wrap this up. So Naruto sheathes his katana and gets in an Iyajutsu stance. Breathing deeply, he focuses on the man in front of him. Thunder breathing first form, thunderclap and flash. Disappearing in a purple streak of lightning, Naruto unsheathes his sword, cutting the man's neck before reappearing behind him, sheathing the blade once again with an audible click before walking away. The older vampire was shocked. He didn't even see the boy move. All he saw was a flash of lightning and his head fell from his shoulders. Though the boy was naive if he truly thought this was all it took to kill him. You fool, you think cutting of the head is all it takes to kill a vampire? You'll pay for your naivete once huh? The man's rant is stopped as he notices he can't feel his body anymore. What did you do? You should have done your research before coming to this country, old man, Naruto says, turning to face the dying vampire with the duffel bag in hand. This blade was used by the clans of Japan since at least the Sengoku era to slay our very own breed of vampire, though we called them demons. But since the Edo period, after the slaying the vast majority, the use of these swords has since fallen out of style except for one clan, which I am the last of, he explains, gesturing to the sword in his hand. 5. Seeing as half the vampire's head had disappeared, Naruto decides to wrap up the history lesson. To make a long story short, the metal in the sword I wield has been bathed in sunlight, a vampire's natural enemy, thus making your kind very easy to kill. But you're already gone, he says offhandedly as the last of his opponent's head turns to dust, turning towards Tsubasa, who had jumped from the building with Shinobu on her back. Great job, Naruto. That was amazing, Shinobu stutters out in awe at the technique he used. Rubbing the back of his head from the praise, Naruto smiles widely. I aim to please. Walking toward the lowly vampire, he hands her the bag. Your leg, madam, he says, giving an exaggerated bow. Shinobu huffs and takes the bag, opening it to reveal one of her missing appendages. Taking it out of the bag, she begins to open her mouth, her large teeth dripping with saliva, but stops as she feels eyes on her. Can I help you too? The two friends just shake their heads rapidly. No, continue, we're just curious how you'd get your power back. Don't mind us, Naruto says with Tsubasa nodding along. Looking at the two wearily but shrugging her shoulders, the blonde girl rips into the flesh of her leg with her sharp teeth. Yoa, that's how she does it? Wait, does it count as cannibalism if it's your own leg? That's a good question, Tsubasa. I don't really know. You know, she's a messy eater. It kind of reminds me of you eating ramen, Naruto. Naruto's sweat drops. I'm not that bad, am I? Will you two shut up? Shinobu yells out with an embarrassed blush on her face and blood running from her mouth. Getting up with her ears red, Shinobu seemed to have grown in age, now appearing to be a preteen. I have just one question, Tsubasa says with her hand raised, and Shinobu nods for her to continue. Did it taste good? The female vampire just lets out a long, tired sigh. Let's just go to the next one, please. Well, she didn't say no, Naruto whispers to his friend, but upon seeing Shinobu begin to twitch violently, he asks Tsubasa to locate the next assassin. Closing her eyes once again, she points south, 10 kilometers that way. It's the half-vampire. Alright, grab on, you two. Tsubasa once again grabs his hand and Shinobu jumps on his back, then the group disappears. High school stadium. Blinking into existence on the bleachers, the trio spots a lone blonde man sitting next to a huge cross in the middle of a soccer field. When the man looks up at them, he stands up with a large smile on his face. Hello, I thought I felt someone snuff out dramaturgy. Naruto was about to jump down to the field when Shinobu puts a hand on his shoulder. Be careful. He has this weird mist ability that makes him intangible. Naruto looks back at her with a grin. Are you worried about Lil Oelmi? Don't worry your pretty little head, I got something for that, he says as he pats the top of her head. Shinobu pushes his hand away with a scowl. I just don't want my first minion to die from something stupid, she says while crossing her arms and looking away, a barely noticeable blush on her face. Tsubasa snickers at the reaction but then turns to Naruto. Beat his ass, Naru, she exclaims, pumping her fist in the air with a loud cheer. Hee hee, you got it! Tensing his legs and making a huge leap, he lands directly in front of the other man. Yo! You got a limb in that bag that belongs to my friend, and I want it back. Sure! It's yours, but you gotta kill me first, the man says, showing off his fangs. Naruto responds in kind, shame, you seem like a cool guy. The name's Naruto, you? Episode, now let's have fun. Episode grabs hold of the cross next to him and swings it overhead at Naruto, but it is blocked by his sword. Oh, is that Nichiren? The assassin asks with glee. Naruto raises an eyebrow. It is. I'm surprised you know of it. Heh, well, I'm a bit of a Japanophile, especially after I heard how you guys killed off most of your vampires. Naruto's grin then turns savage. Well, you should get a better look at it. Pushing away the cross, causing Episode to lose his footing, Naruto brings his sword back and slashes the assassin diagonally across the chest. Looking towards his foe as he felt no resistance with his cut, he sees Episode still connected via mist. Looks like it can't cut me after all, he says with a little disappointment, then shrugs. Oh well, I'll make sure to take it from you when you die. Humph, so Shinobu was right about your mist ability, Naruto comments as he jumps back to get some space from his opponent. Yup, well, this was fun while it lasted, as short as it was, but I'ma have to kill you now, then the woman, Episode says as he gets into a throwing stance. Holding his sword in front of him, Naruto nods his head in agreement. You're right, it is over. With a wide grin, Episode throws his cross at superhuman speed towards Naruto, aiming to split him in half. As the cross gets closer, Naruto readies himself. Clang, asterisk. Naruto deflects the cross upward and sprints towards Episode faster than he can track. Thunder breathing first form. I told you that won't work. Thunderclap and flash. Once again, in a flash of lightning and a crack of thunder, Naruto appears behind Episode. Come on, is that all you go? Adamantine ceiling chains. 6. Countless ethereal purple chains shoot from Naruto's back, ensnaring the assassin. What, why? Blurg. Episode questions, spitting up blood as his magic has been sealed off, disconnecting him from his lower body, making both halves bleed profusely. Adamantine ceiling chains, the ability of my mother's clan, Naruto says, straightening up and walks towards Episode. It seals off the abilities of those it touches. Cough, what the hell? That's overpowered as fuck, the dying assassin says while coughing up more blood. Indeed, it's why the clan was wiped out by thousands of Yoma. Naruto brings up his sword. Heart or neck? Episode just looks down and smiles. Neck, like the old Japanese vampires. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle. A weeb till the end, huh? Haha, you know it. Without another word between the two, Naruto decapitates Episode with a clean cut. Sheathing his sword, Naruto watches as his body turns to dust. Clasping his hands together in prayer, he says under his breath, May Lady Amaterasu cleanse your soul in her purifying blaze. Turning around to face his two companions sitting in the bleachers, he calls out, It's over, you can come down now. After a few moments, the two land next to him and Shinobu looks at Naruto dumbfounded. That assassin was the toughest for me to fight out of the three. He probably could have taken me on his own, yet you beat him without a scratch. Naruto just shrugs his shoulders. I'm strong, he responds nonchalantly. Then why'd you let me turn you into a vampire? You clearly don't need the power boost. Naruto pats her head again. I was taken in by yokai from a young age. Even though I'm human, yokai live long lives and sometimes even forever. While I'll live longer than any human should thanks to my mother's clan, I'll still die of old age someday. So, you decided to become a vampire to live as long as your loved ones, Shinobu mutters. Naruto dons a bright smile. Yup. I'm pretty selfish like that, he says as he brings Tsubasa in for a one-armed hug. The Nekashu chuckles as she wraps her arms around his waist. Yasaka is still going to be pissed you did this without telling her first though. Naruto's smile falls. Ugh, yes she is. Shaking out of his stupor, he puts on another smile. Well, I'll worry about that later. Go ahead and get your power back, Shinobu. Nodding, the female vampire walks up to the bag and pulls out her left leg and begins eating once again. Wow, there she goes again. Do you think it tastes like steak? Tsubasa asks with a bit of drool coming from her mouth. That makes me wonder, what do you think would happen if she cooked it first? Shinobu grumbles and stands back up, taller than before as she now looks to be in her late teens. There's only one left. Let's just go get it. Yes, ma'am. The two friends say with a mock salute, causing the teenage vampire to gain a tick mark on her forehead. Ah, he's in the outskirts of the city 50 kilometers west, Tsubasa says after sensing for the man. Alright ladies, grab on last one for the night. Naruto exclaims and Tsubasa jumps onto his back with a cheer while Shinobu grabs onto his sleeve and the three once again flash away. Abandoned church. Oh god, is he going to be a stereotypical villain? I hope not, Tsubasa complains as the group walks up the creaking stairs, her hair now back to its usual black as she stopped using senjutsu. She also put her glasses back on. I bet he spouts some religious shit or some human supremacy bull, Naruto grumbles as he kicks open the door, revealing an older man wearing priest robes and red robes. So that abomination of a woman turned a poor soul. Don't worry boy, I'll end your suffering, the man says standing up and spreads his arms wide. My name is Guillotine Cutter, and I shall rid the world of all abominations making. Oh god, is he monologuing? Tsubasa asks with an annoyed face. Naruto smacks his hand against his forehead. Yes, he is. Shinobu groans, fuck this, I've heard this spiel already when they tried to kill me. Blurring behind the still talking man, she shoves her arm through his chest, right where his heart should be. A abomination, the man says with his dying breath before his eyes roll up to the back of his head and he slumps over dead. Naruto lets put an impressed whistle. That was nice. Tsubasa nods rapidly while clapping, yet 10 out of 10. Shinobu preens at the praise, putting on a smug expression. Head, did you expect anything else? Now to get my arms back. Walking up to the altar she once again begins consuming her own flesh. You know, it might be the vampire in me talking, but that looks kinda good. Oh? Is this the vampire craving I've heard about? Maybe. Actually your neck looks really sexy right now, weird. Oh, you wanna taste? Tsubasa purrs out, loosening her collar and showing more of her creamy pale skin. Naruto salivates at the sight of it. Licking his fangs he gets closer to his childhood friend, pushing her up against the door frame. His mouth hovers over her neck, hot breath tickling her skin. Looking up at her, he sees Tsubasa nod, giving him permission to continue. Not wasting any more time he sinks his fangs in her supple skin and begins to suck her blood, making the Nekishu moan and hold his head closer. This has to be the sweetest thing I've ever tasted, he thinks to himself as he pushes himself closer to her body in an attempt to greedily drink more. Tsubasa responds by wrapping her legs around him as he holds her up and the two begin grinding against each other. When Naruto finally retracted his fangs from her neck, they were breathing heavily. Whoa, that was intense, Naruto says out of breath. Yeah, I think I came a little, Tsubasa says with a blush on her cheeks before she notices something. Hey Naruto, your eyes are back to their normal color. Naruto internally sighs in relief. That's good, I really like them like that. Are you two horn dogs done dry humping each other? A now fully grown Shinobu asks with a blush on her cheeks as well. The two separate, and the blonde woman clears her throat. Now that everything's taken care of, I'd like to formally introduce myself. Doing a curtsy, she begins speaking. My name is Kissshot Asuro Lorian Heart Underblade, niece of the 4th king of Teeps. But you may call me Shinobu Ashino. Naruto does a feral grin. I am Naruto, son of Minato Namikaze of the Namikaze clan, those blessed by the storm god Susanoo, and Kushina Uzumaki of the Uzumaki clan, those blessed by the fox goddess Inari. But just Naruto is fine. Tsubasa does a pose with a peace sign and a smile on her face. And I'm Tsubasa Hinkawa, one of the last few Nekishu and youngest master of Senjutsu in yokai history. I'd like to make a proposition with you, Naruto. Tsubasa. Naruto gains a cheeky smile. Oh? You're not gonna try and make me obey you again? Shinobu scowls. I'm desperate, not stupid. I saw how easily you took out those assassins. There's no way I could control you. She sighs and looks towards the sun that is currently rising. I need your help. Shinobu mumbles under her breath. Naruto's smile grows wider, and he cups a hand to his ear and leans towards her. Huh? What was that? I can't quite hear you. Shinobu grits her teeth. I said I need your help. Naruto gains a faux thoughtful look. And what would you need little oil me for? Shinobu sighs. She seems to be doing that a lot since she's met this man. I have a cousin that is being held by the Teeps vampire clan due to her powerful sacred gear. Teeps? Aren't you part of that clan? She nods. Yes, we have been in a civil war with the Carmilla for many years now, but it's been at a stalemate recently. They plan on using her sacred gear to tip the balance, and I'm scared if we wait too long she'll go into a mind-broken state from overusing it. Please, you have to help me. Naruto sighs, fine, but I have to go back to Kyoto and tell Yasaka first. She's already going to be mad I turned myself into a vampire. Tsubasa starts chuckling. You're gonna be in so much trouble. She then straightens out. Wait a minute, am I a vampire too? You just bit me after all. Naruto shrugs his shoulders, maybe? Shinobu shakes her head and looks at Tsubasa. Did you feel any pain when he bit you? The black-haired girl shakes her head. No, then he didn't turn you. It's painful since the virus infects you and changes your DNA. That's why it hurts so much when you bit me. Naruto sees the sun come up. Shit. We gotta go. Yasaka's probably awake by now and I don't want to keep her waiting. Naruto then takes off towards the opening of the church. Wait, it's daylight out. You'll burn. Shinobu stares dumbfounded as Naruto is standing in sunlight just fine. In fact, he looks even more energized than he did before. How? Oops, did I forget to tell you I was personally blessed by the sun goddess Amaterasu herself? He puts a hand on his cheek. I'm so forgetful. You did that on purpose, Shinobu says with annoyance on her face that only increases when he starts laughing. Stop laughing. Tsubasa walks up next to her trying to stifle a laugh. Don't worry, he's a bit of a prankster. It's happened to everyone. Shinobu just grumbles before she walks out into the sun as well, grunting slightly at the sting of its rays on her skin. You done? She asks Naruto, who is calming down. Why, yeah, I'm done, he says, still chuckling a bit, though I'm surprised you're out in the sun too. Shinobu huffs and flips her hair. My bloodline is close to the original Dracula, so the sun doesn't affect me as much. It still stings though. That makes this easier then. Okay girls, grab on. Doing as he says, they both grab an arm. Next stop, Kyoto. The three then disappear in a purple flash, not noticing a green-haired woman peeking at them from in a tree. A demon slayer in this day and age? She questions, hopping from the tree onto the ground. He even let himself become a vampire. But he's a day walker like me. Walking into the church, she sees the corpse of Guillotine Cutter. Oh, they left a gift. Her smirk turns more sinister. I'll look at the shock and despair on his face as he died. I'll have to make sure to thank those three when I see them again. Kneeling down and picking up the heart Shinobu dropped, she holds it above her face. Thank you for the meal. Opening her mouth wide, she drops the organ in her mouth and bites, spraying blood everywhere. Putting her hands on her cheeks, her face grows a full blush as her right eye mascara turns black with a red iris. So good. 7. Looking out towards the door of the church and staring at the sun, she grins, showing off her fangs. Naruto, I can't wait till we meet officially. She then turns back to the corpse and begins eating with gusto. Kyoto. In a purple flash, the three appear in Naruto's room. Alright, looks like Yasaka hadn't noticed yet. The sliding door in his room slam open. Hadn't noticed what? That some blonde knucklehead and an airhead cat decided to sneak off to who knows where last night. A very aggravated voice says from the opening. Stiffening, Naruto slowly turns towards the voice, showing it was Yasaka, the leader of the Western Yokai faction, Nine-Tailed Fox, and the woman who raised him after his parents died. She is a woman with a voluptuous figure, and very long blonde hair with matching eyes. Her usual delicate facial features are twisted into the form of a frown, and her eyebrows are cut very short and round, a symbol of nobility. Her hair is tied in a loose ponytail, reaching all the way down to her legs that ends in a spiral, with taut bandages to keep it in place. She is also wearing a traditional shrine maiden attire, and over that she has on a white coat held closed by a red ribbon and a golden crown. Hey there, Yasaka, wonderful sunrise, isn't it? Lady Amaterasu is as radiant as always, he says with a grin, accidentally flashing his fangs. The blonde yokai's eyes widen before her face twists into a scowl. Naruto, show me your teeth. Huh! She stomps up to him. Show me your teeth. Getting annoyed with his attempt at stalling, Yasaka forcefully opens his mouth, giving her a clear view of his fangs. What did you do? Naruto backs away from her, and sheepishly rubs his head. I may have let a vampire turn me. You what? She grabs him by his shoulders and begins shaking him. You stupid boy. Why would you do such a thing? Stop shaking me and I'll tell you. When she finally decides to let go of Naruto, he shakes his head to clear his swirling vision. I don't want to grow old and die while you, Kunu and Tsubasa live on. The human lifespan is too short, and I wanted to spend an eternity with the three of you, he confesses as he looks towards the ground. Yasaka's expression softens, and she brings him in for a hug. You dumb boy, throwing your humanity away for something like that. We could have asked Seraphal to turn you or her little sister she always talks about. Naruto hugs her back. I don't trust that evil peace system. Even though I know Sarah is different from other devils, I still don't like the feeling of someone being over me. Then what of the vampire that turned you? That is a master-servant relationship as well. I overwhelmed her will with my own, so she has no control over me. Yasaka sighs before looking up and seeing Tsubasa and an unknown blonde woman. Probably the vampire. She is about to speak when the sound of a young girl's voice reaches her ears. Mama, I heard you yelling. Are Naruto and Tsubasa back? Appearing from the opening is a young girl with the appearance of a first-year high school student. She has golden, blonde hair tied in a ponytail and matching eyes. She also has 9 golden foxtails and matching ears. She has on a traditional Miko outfit, and the sleeves of her haori feature a giant red star-shaped pentagram, surrounded by 5 smaller pentagrams in between the points. Yes, dear, and it appears Naruto went ahead and did something reckless. Ah, good morning, Kunu. Naruto greets with his fangs on display. You actually did it? You became a vampire? The girl asks with surprise on her face. How do you know I was planning on becoming a vampire? Naruto asks with a tilted head. Ah, she gains a blush on her face. I may have eavesdropped on a conversation you had with Tsubasa late at night. Yasaka sighs. What did I tell you about listening in on other people's conversations, Kunu? Kunu's fox ears flatten against her head. Not to. Naruto just waves his hands. It's fine, really, it turned out well in the end. I'm fine and under no one's control, and I get to spend more time with all of you. Kunu runs up to Naruto and hugs him. So we can be married forever? Naruto just smiles gently and pats her head. Yeah, but only when you're older. Blushing with a smile, but then she gains a semi-serious face. But what about Mama? She almost 1,000 years old. Hey, and yokai don't live forever like vampires do. Well then I'll just make her a vampire too, Tsubasa as well, then we can all live happily together. The young girl smiles widely, yay. Meanwhile Yasaka is shaking her head. As much as I'd love to spend forever with you, Kunu and Tsubasa, we need to get permission from the Shinto gods first before you start spreading vampirism. Suddenly a flash of light blinds everyone in the room and 3 figures appear. The first is a man, a very tall man with tan skin, spiky blue hair that has 2 bison-like horns protruding from it, and is wearing white, red and black robes that have pieces of samurai armor attached. This is Susanoo, god of the sea and storms. 8. The next is a woman with pale skin and red hair tied in a blue bow with 2 orange fox ears sitting atop her head. Her blue kimono is low-cut, leaving her large cleavage and shoulders exposed. Her sleeves are long and flowing, and she has on black stockings with an orange foxtail coming from her rear. This is Inari, the goddess of foxes and fortune. 9. The last is a beauty like no other, though she is dressed rather plain. A standard Miko outfit that does nothing to hide her generous bust, a red headband on her forehead, her long black hair tied in a bow towards the end, and bright golden eyes. There's a radiance to her as if the sun itself only shines its light to give her pale skin a godly glow. This is Amaterasu, goddess of the sun and leader of the Shinto pantheon. 10. Everyone in the room immediately bows their heads in respect of the deities that are before them. Lady Amaterasu, Lord Susanoo and Lady Inari, to what do we owe the pleasure of this visit? Yasaka asks from her knelt position. Oh Yasaka, you know there is no need to bow. I've known you since you were a child. You too, Naruto, Tsubasa and Kunu, Amaterasu says with a gentle smile on her face. But milady, no buts. Going around she stands everyone up, even Shinobu. When everyone is on their feet she begins speaking again. Now, the 3 of us came here for a reason, isn't that right, Naruto? The blonde flinches and bows his head once again. I'm deeply sorry if I have offended all of you, but it's the only way I could think of to spend more time with everyone. Looking back up at the 3 gods, his eyes harden. I don't regret my actions, I would do it again if I must. Ho! Susanoo steps up to Naruto, towering over him. Brave words, child. What's to stop me, Amaterasu and Inari, from stripping our blessings from you? What would you do then? He says threateningly, crashing his divine aura into the blonde. Then I'd learn to conquer my weakness to the sun and make do without your blessings, Naruto states, defiance in his eyes. The 2 men stare at each other for a few seconds, stormy blue eyes staring into equally stormy purple and blue eyes. After what seems like an eternity to everyone else in the room, Susanoo bursts out into a hearty laugh. Ha ha ha, just like your father, clasping his hands on Naruto's shoulders. You've grown into a fine man, Naruto. Yes, just like Susanoo said, we are not mad that you decided to take this path. We've actually known of your plan for a while now. Inari says as she walks up to the blonde. All of us approve because your reasons were just. Amaterasu then continues, in fact we have come to a consensus. She begins to smile radiantly. You, Naruto, will be the start of a new clan, tied directly to the Shinto pantheon, and all three of us have decided to give our blessings to your bloodline. Naruto once again bows deeply. I am not worthy to receive such an honor. A new clan hasn't been installed in centuries. Nonsense, my boy. Susanoo says, you are the last of two prestigious clans, one blessed by me and the other by Inari, not to mention the extra blessing my sister has given you, though she was supposed to wait till we made the announcement to give it, he mutters while looking at the sun goddess who is rubbing the back of her head with a sheepish expression. I may have jumped the gun a bit, hee. She then coughs into her fist. Anyway, all that's left is for you to choose a clan name. We'll take on the Uzumaki name or Namikaze. Neither. My clan's name shall be Yuzuke's after both clans, Naruto says with determination in his eyes, causing Susanoo to grin, Inari to smirk and Amaterasu to have a small smile. 11. The goddess of the sun steps back and spreads her arms wide. Then so it shall be. Henceforth you shall be called Naruto Yuzuke's, head of the Yuzuke's clan, the ones blessed by Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun, Susanoo, the god of the sea and storms, and Inari, the goddess of foxes and fortune. Naruto bows his head with a large smile. I humbly accept the position you have given me, Lady Amaterasu, Lord Susanoo and Lady Inari. Inari claps her hands together. Alright, now that the little ceremony is over, let's discuss the duties you and your clan will have. Inari is right. Lately other factions have been flooding into Japan, and have been running amok since our pantheon has a more hands-off approach. Susanoo continues. That's where you and your clan come in. You shall be our hands, so to speak, to make sure they don't turn our country into a battleground or harm our people, Amaterasu says. Naruto puts his hand on his chin and thinks about it. Are there any rules I have to follow? Amaterasu shakes her head. As long you make sure the foreign factions aren't causing too much trouble, you have complete autonomy. Naruto's face turns into a feigned grin. I can work with that. You can also start your own sect of vampires sponsored by our pantheon as well, as long as they consent to being turned. Oh, me first. Tsubasa suddenly speaks up, waving her hand in the air. I want to be the first turned. Amaterasu smiles. Well, it looks like you got your first volunteer. She then turns toward Shinobu, making the vampire stiffen with sweat pouring down her face from the heat the sun goddess is radiating. Vampire. Why yes ma'am. I will give Naruto my permission to go to Romania to save your cousin. Thankful expression makes its way on Shinobu's face. Thank you. Amaterasu sticks a finger up to cut her off. However, once it is done, you both will join our faction as a part of Naruto's coven. Is that clear? Shinobu bows her head. Yes, milady. I was already planning on giving myself as a servant to Naruto after Valerie was saved. Ah, Shinobu, we just met a few hours ago, and you already want to give yourself to me? I'm touched, Naruto says with a hand over his heart and a fake tearful expression. The woman's ears turn red with a blush, and she gains a scowl on her face. Shut up. Everyone in the room begins laughing or giggling at Shinobu's expense, causing her blush to get brighter. After calming down, the three gods begin to glow. It is time for us to leave. Take good care of yourself, Naruto. You as well, Yasaka, Kunu and Tsubasa. We will keep in contact. See you later, Susanoo says with a grin. Bye-bye, Inari says while waving. In another flash of light, the Shinto gods disappear from the room, leaving the five alone once again. Kunu runs up to Naruto and hugs him. Congratulations on making a new clan, Naruto. Smiling, the blonde rubs the top of her head, scratching behind her fox ears. Thank you, Kunu. She looks up at him. Can you turn me into a vampire after Tsubasa? Let's wait till you're older. Wouldn't want you to be stuck in a 15-year-old body for all time, would we? You still have some growing to do. Kunu pouts and crosses her arms. Fine, I'll wait. Good, Yasaka says as she walks up and hugs Naruto as well. Congratulations, Naruto. Starting a clan that's been blessed by three gods is an amazing achievement. She then brings him closer. Though I am not happy you didn't tell me of your plan before you did it. I am touched you would go so far as. Tsubasa jumps on his back and rubs her cheek against his neck. And I'll be his first turned. Naruto chuckles. Yes, you will, Tsubasa. But first I need to wash up from last night. Looking over Shinobu, he sends her a smile. We'll leave for Romania when the sun sets. The vampire woman nods her head thankfully. Thank you for doing this for me. I'll forever be in your debt. Naruto waves her off. Don't mention it. He hooks his arms under Tsubasa's legs. Now if you don't mind, I'll be going now. To the hot springs, Tsubasa exclaims while pretending as if Naruto's a horse. Chuckling, Naruto walks towards the spring so he and his friend can wash off last night's dirt. Watching the two leave, Yasaka turns to Shinobu. You can stay in this room for the meantime and don't worry. Naruto will definitely save your cousin. Shinobu nods. I have no doubt about it. I saw him fight last night, it was amazing. Naruto's always been super strong. He's never lost to anyone. Kuna jumps in with excitement on her face. Indeed, he's always been a talented boy, with an amazing work ethic, Yasaka says with a smile. But let's not keep you. I know vampires usually sleep during the day, and Kunu and I have shrine maiden duties to attend to. Nodding, the blonde vampire bows her head. I am feeling quite tired. I once again thank you for your kindness. Yasaka smiles and grabs Kuna's hand and walks towards the entrance of the room. Don't worry about it. The two nine-tailed foxes exit the room, leaving Shinobu to rest. Hot springs. Naruto and Tsubasa are soaking in the warm water side by side with her head on his shoulder and his arm around her. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, she brings her head up. I want to be with you forever, not just as long as my life permits. Tsubasa, putting a finger against his lips, she smiles. I love you, Naruto Yuzuke's I have for a while now, and I wish to stay by your side for all eternity. But there will be other women. She shrugs and climbs into his lap, straddling it. Women of the supernatural world are attracted to power, something you have in spades. Just look at little Kunu. She's been hounding you to marry her ever since you won that tournament 5 years ago. Even Yasaka no longer looks at you as the boy she raised anymore. After thinking for a bit, he nods with a newfound determination. Naruto looks into her eyes. I love you too, Tsubasa Hinkawa. Would you like to spend the rest of time with me? Tsubasa's lips turn into a smile and she kisses him before putting her forehead against his. Of course, I would love to. Extending his fangs, Naruto bites into her neck and remembering what Shinobu said about turning someone, he injects magic into Tsubasa via his fangs. The cat yokai grits her teeth from the pain, her nails extending into claws and scratching into Naruto's back, drawing blood. When the ordeal is finally over, the two young adults are panting while holding each other. That really hurt. Tsubasa moans out in slight pain, opening her now red-slitted eyes and showing her long fangs. How are you feeling? Naruto asks, looking her over. Thirsty and horny. Sounds about right. Naruto is cut off by Tsubasa digging her fangs into his neck. Moaning out in pleasure from the heavenly taste of his blood, she begins grinding her lower body against his. After a few seconds she stops sucking on his neck, stares at him as her eyes turn back to their original deep purple. Naruto chuckles. Fine. Getting excited, Tsubasa reaches underwater and grabs hold of his tool, stroking it and aiming the head towards her opening. She slides herself down while letting out a guttural moan and begins bouncing in Naruto's lap, riding his manhood while he holds on to her waist. The two would not leave the springs for several hours, enjoying the pleasure of each other's flesh. Sunset. After their fun in the hot springs, the two newly made vampires go back to Naruto's room and see Shinobu, who recently woke up. You ready to go, Shinobu? Naruto asks, checking his seals to make sure he has all his equipment. The blonde woman nods her head. The sooner we leave the better. Tsubasa flexes her claws, lengthening them and retracting them. I'm ready to go too, Naruto. Leaving? The trio turn towards the opening of the room and sees Yasaka leaning on the door frame with Kuna next to her. Walking up to the group, she pulls them all into a hug. Be safe. Yeah, we'll be back soon, Naruto says with a grin on his face. You won't even have time to miss us. Yasaka chuckles and puts her forehead against his. I'll hold you to it. She then whispers in his ear. I want you to turn me as well when you get back. Naruto nods. I will. Good, she says, stepping away to let Kuna hug him. Naruto pats the top of Kuna's head, much to her chagrin. Be good while I'm away, okay? Pouting a bit, she gestures for him to lean in. When he does so, she kisses him on the cheek. I will. Be safe, Naruto. Flashing her a grin, Naruto stands back up and goes outside to the backyard with his companions following behind. Okay, all aboard flight Yuzuke's. Our destination is Romania, ETA. 2 minutes. Tsubasa jumps on his back, while Shinobu just rolls her eyes and grabs onto his arm. Let's go. Naruto flexes his leg muscles, and his body becomes coated in purple lightning. After he is done charging, he jumps high into the sky towards the direction of their destination, leaving behind the sound of thunder and a trail of his signature purple lightning. Teep's castle, home to the noble vampire house of the same name, Looking out at the clear night sky was Valerie Teeps, daughter of the 4th king of Teeps and current prisoner in her own home. I hope Shinobu is okay, she said she'd find help to get me out of here. Looking down at the black hair tie in her hand, she holds it close to her chest. Hopefully you're living a good life out there, Sophie. Hearing a rumble, Valerie looks back out of the window of her room and notices storm clouds, adopting a confused expression. She summons what little strength she has and gets up from her chair to get a closer look. Wasn't the sky clear just a few seconds ago? Seeing flashes in the clouds, she squints her eyes. Is that purple lightning? Boom! Crash! There is a sudden flash of purple and the sound of crackling thunder as lightning strikes the middle of the courtyard, creating a decent-sized crater and throwing up a large amount of dust and smoke. When it clears, 3 figures could be seen, 1 man and 2 women. The man, with blonde hair that turns red at the ends and blue and purple mixed eyes, wearing a white hoodie. The first woman next to him has black hair, wears glasses over deep purple eyes and is wearing a pink school uniform from Japan. The final woman has long blonde hair with gold eyes, wearing a strapless red and black dress. Shinobu. Tears start to form in the girl's eyes as hope swells within her heart. You really came back for me. Shinobu looks up towards the tower she knows they keep Valerie and nudges Naruto. There, that's where they're holding her. Nodding, Naruto taps his left arm, releasing his katana, and clips it to his waist. Okay then, we'll head straight there. Hold it right there. Several vampires appear in the courtyard, surrounding the trio. Kiss shot? What's the meaning of this? Have you betrayed us? Shinobu flips her hair and looks towards the vampire who spoke. I am here for Valerie. Get out of my way and I won't have to kill you. The vampire's face twists into a harsh scowl. You damn traitor. Do you plan to take away the means for us to win this war? Scoffing, she bites into her right wrist, holding her arm up and letting the blood flow. I don't give a damn about that. I only care for Valerie. The blood then transforms into a Nodachi, whose blade is taller than herself. Resting it against her shoulder, she gets into a ready stance. And I'm not leaving without her. Guess we're rolling then. You ready, Tsubasa? Naruto asks, putting a hand on his sword in preparation. You know it. Taking her glasses off, her hair turns white and her eyes turn gold with slits. Squatting down, she lengthens her nails to become claws. All right, Operation Save Vampire Princess in the tower is a go. Immediately he coats himself in purple lightning, his eyes turning pure white from the magic power being generated. Showing off a fanged grin, he settles into a stance, gripping the hilt of his katana. He takes a deep breath in preparation. Thunder breathing first form, thunderclap and flash. Disappearing from view, Naruto reappears at the other end of the courtyard, leaving behind a trail of lightning and the sound of booming thunder. Pivoting his foot, he disappears once again. Eightfold. Flashing away, he leaves behind 7 more trails of lightning, before coming to a stop in front of the tower. Valerie is being held captive in. Sheathing his sword with a click, he straightens with an exhale. Emma, head up and get the princess. You guys have fun, Naruto says, waving as he walks into the tower. Hey bastard! Where do you think you'll go? The vampire was cut off as a line of red appears on his neck and 39 others, while the 40 vampires fall to the ground, blood spewing from their severed necks, before they crumble to dust as Naruto continues walking without skipping a beat. TCH, what a show-off, Shinobu mutters under her breath while Tsubasa giggles. Naru always had a flair for the dramatic, Tsubasa says, looking at the now wary vampires and licking her lips as her eyes turn from gold to red as her fangs lengthen. It looks like he left half for us though. Shinobu's eyes bleed red as well and she tightens her grip on her Nodachi. Humph, try to keep up. Hee hee, I should be saying that to you, Tsubasa taunts as she takes off, sprinting towards the nearest vampire, slashing him with her claws, removing his head and causing blood to shoot from his neck like a fountain before spinning around and doing the same to another in rapid succession. Shinobu grits her teeth at the head start Tsubasa has over her, so she turns her attention to another group, rushing towards them as they stared dumbfounded at the slaughter the white-haired Nanakusa was causing. Swinging the large blade overhead, she slices the first vertically in half, cleaving through his skull, then twisting to separate another's torso from his lower half. As the 2 women massacre the vampires outside, Naruto is walking through the tower with his hands behind his head, whistling a jaunty tune. Pointing his right index finger above his head, it begins to drip with water sanban, he intones, shooting a single needle into the darkness above him, making the vampire that was about to sneak attack fall to the ground with a hole in its head. Ah, here it is, he says with a smile on his face as he looks the huge iron door with multiple deadbolts on it. Sheesh, they really wanted to keep her in, huh? Grabbing the hilt of the blade, he quickly draws it, making several slashes at the door before sheathing it once more as the door falls apart in several pieces. Walking into the dimly lit room, he sees a young lady looking about his age, sitting in a chair looking out of her window. When she turns to face him, he is immediately captivated by her beauty. Valerie has blonde hair that reaches past her shoulders, ending at her upper back. Her haunting red-slitted eyes stare into his very soul, appraising him. She is wearing a red long-sleeved dress with a white fur-lined short cape, and has on no footwear to speak of. Approaching her with a smile on his face, internally admiring how the moon from the now clear night sky gives her smooth, pale skin an ethereal glow. Valerie Teeps, I presume? When she nods, he goes into a bow. I am Naruto Yuzuke's, head of the Yuzuke's clan. I have come to rescue you at the request of your cousin Shinobu, Naruto says with a smile. Smiling as well, she goes to respond but can't form the words due to a combination of her fading strength from overuse of her sacred gear and thirst from not feeding on blood for so long. Thirsty. She gets out, her voice hoarse. Ah, of course. Moving his hoodie to expose his neck, he leans in closer to her. Go right ahead. Nodding, she bites into his neck and begins drinking his life essence. Her eyes shoot open at the taste and power that flows within it. So much so she starts drinking with more intensity. Wrapping her arms around his neck and pushing her body against his, Naruto holds her close, letting her drink her fill so she can recover. When she finally finishes, she retracts her fangs from his neck, with some of his blood dripping from the corner of her mouth. You taste good. So I've been told. Naruto chuckles before holding his hand out to her. You want to get out of here, princess? Blushing at the nickname, she nods with a small smile, but yelps in surprise as Naruto picks her up in a bridal carry and jumps from the window. Landing on the ground below, Naruto goes up to his female companions who were currently arguing while being covered in blood. You stole my kills. If you didn't play with your food I wouldn't have to go and make sure they were dead. I was going to. I had a big finisher planned and everything. Well, maybe you should have been faster, you damned cat. How about I show you how fast I really am? Kiss shit. It's kiss shot. The two women bump heads, gritting their teeth and baring their fangs, an image of lightning shooting from each other's eyes. Shinobu, stopping her staring contest with Tsubasa, the older woman turns towards the sound of a familiar voice. When she spots Valerie in Naruto's arms, her expression turns to joy as she runs up to them. Valerie! You're okay. Naruto sets the Teep's princess down on her feet as Shinobu gives her a big hug with tears building in her eyes. Stopping the hug, she begins patting her down, checking her over. Are you okay? How are you feeling? Smiling softly, Valerie grabs her hands and holds them. I'm fine, just a little weak. Your friend let me drink some of his blood and it helped me recover. Turning towards Naruto, Shinobu bows her head. Thank you for helping me save her. I am forever in your debt. Naruto waves her off. Meh, it was nothing. Looking up at the moon, he turns to a still pouting Tsubasa. Stop pouting. I'll take you Yoma hunting later. Her pout instantly disappears and she pounces on Naruto, rubbing her cheeks against his. Yay. You're the best, Naru. Patting the top of her head between the ears, he chuckles. Yeah, I know. But we should head back to Kyoto now. I did tell Yasaka we'd be done quickly after all. Okay. Tsubasa yells as she pumps her fist in the air. Wait, there are others in the dungeon. I overheard the guards at my door saying they captured 2 girls that could survive in the sun. Valerie suddenly exclaims, looking at Naruto and bows. Would you please help them? I don't want others to be trapped here like me. Ah, so that's who I was sensing under us. I thought they were just some cowards hiding, Tsubasa says, putting a finger on her chin. Why take them though? Maybe they wanted to use them against the Carmilla, Valerie says in response. Okay, let's go get those 2 as well. Tsubasa, are they right under us? Naruto asks, sealing up his sword. Squatting down and placing 2 fingers on the ground, she sends a pulse of senjutsu-laced magic through the ground. They're a few meters down and to the right, directly below us is a hallway. Perfect. Everyone get back. I'm making a hole, he says, gesturing for everyone to make space as he taps a seal on his right forearm, and in a puff of smoke a katana appears. Though it's different from the one he used previously. The sword is in a standard black sheath with a hexagonal-shaped tsuba that has a bronze core with an overlapping fuchsia border and white wrappings around the hilt. Drawing the blade reveals the edge to be a deep blue color, and the phrase, Destroy Demons, engraved on the side in kanji. 1. Taking a deep breath, Naruto jumps high into the air, holding his blade overhead as water swirls around it. Falling towards the ground, he tightens his grip on the katana as he brings it down on the earth. Water-breathing 8th form, waterfall basin. Upon contact, the ground is hit with a powerful pillar of water, causing it to buckle and crumble, and Naruto to fall through into an underground system. Standing up from a crouch, he sheathes his blade and keeps it at his side. Looking up through the hole he made, he waves down the other three. Come on, we don't have all night. Jumping down with Valerie on her back, Shinobu begins to grumble. We could have just found the entrance instead of opening a giant hole, you know. Yeah, but I can't think of a better fuck you than leaving a hole right in the middle of the courtyard, Naruto says as he shrugs, causing Tsubasa to nod sagely in agreement, Shinobu to sweat drop and Valerie to giggle. Oh man, I thought we were gonna die. A voice calls out from the right. You know we just heal from it, right? A different voice says from the same direction. The group of 4 follow the sound and are greeted to the sight of 2 girls in a cell, each having their hands chained to the wall behind them, as a way to limit their movement. The first girl had pale skin, long green hair that reaches her lower back, and orange eyes with her fangs were on full display as she talked. The second girl, who was chained next to her, also had pale skin and long hair. Hers was silver that transitions to pink halfway towards the end. Her right eye is green while her left is red, and her fangs were also on display as her face was in a deep scowl, and around her neck was a choker that had a large cross with cracks in it, connected via a chain. Both girls were only wearing a plain white dress, with no footwear to speak of. Yeah, but it was still scary though. I thought I saw my life flash before my eyes. Stop being such a baby. You're so mean, Mocha. I liked it better when you still had an outer personality. Gee, I wonder why it's gone now. Oh, I know. It's because my airhead cousin decided it was a good idea to sunbathe in a classroom after school with her wings out. 2. Mo, I told you I was sorry about that. It's been like a month since that happened. You shouldn't hold grudges for that long. It's not healthy. Grr, if I weren't being held back by these chains, I'd throttle you right now. Blade, the green-haired girl, sticks out her tongue, blowing a raspberry. That's it. Come here. The silver and pink-haired girl begins struggling in her chains in an effort to get loose. Oh no! The group could only stare blankly at the 2 struggling in their chains, one trying to kill the girl next to her while the other was trying to get away. Walking up to the cell, Naruto taps on the bars, causing the 2 to freeze and look at him. The green-haired girl's cheeks immediately begin to heat up as she takes in his features while the other girl's scowl deepens. Who are you? The girl asks with her eyes narrowed in suspicion. Naruto grins, showing off his fangs. Naruto Yuzuke's. And who are you 2 lovely ladies? Mocha Akashiya, Wayuko Shiragami. He squats down, so their faces are level. Well, Mocha, Yuko, how about I bust you out of here? The 2 girls' eyes go wide at the question, and while Yuko was feeling hope, Mocha was still a bit apprehensive. What's the catch? Naruto's grin widens. You 2 will have to join me, and help restart my clan back in Japan. Both girls are caught off guard by such a blatant proposal, and Mocha begins to snarl. Who do you think you are, you? Okay. Whipping her head to the side to face Yuko in disbelief, Mocha hisses out. What are you saying, Yuko? Don't you know what he's proposing? Looking back at her cousin with determination in her eyes, she nods. I do. It's better than staying here or being on the run from the Teep's faction. She then looks away with a blush. Plus, I always wanted to go to school in Japan. It's where my mother was born after all. Staring at Yuko for a bit longer, Mocha hangs her head and sighs. I guess you're right. Looking back over at Naruto, she speaks up. Fine, I'll come too, but under one condition. Raising an eyebrow, Naruto motions for her to continue. I'll only follow you if you manage to pull off my Rosario, she states, getting a slight gasp from Yuko. Eh? That's it. Mocha nods. Pull it off and I'm yours. Shrugging, Naruto goes to the cell door and yanks it open, easily rending the steel bars. Walking up to the 2 female vampires, he smashes the bindings keeping them tied to the wall. Seeing that the 2 are now free, he kneels in front of Mocha and takes hold of the cross. Mocha closes her eyes and holds her breath. With a slight tug, Naruto frees the cross from its chain, and the room is enveloped in a pink light. When the light dies down, it reveals Mocha once again, but this time her hair is fully silver except for the tips that remain pink. Her bust and hip sizes have grown and both eyes are now red. So was that like a magical girl transformation or something? Naruto asks blankly, and Mocha gains a few tick marks. No, you idiot! You just released my full power, she snaps as her hair shadows her face, which means, Naruto looks at her with a raised eyebrow and opens his mouth to speak. "You're my destined one!" she exclaims as she flings herself on him, wrapping her arms around his neck and legs around his waist, pushing him to the ground as Naruto's hands land on her hips. Enlarging her fangs, she sinks them into his neck and moans out at the taste, before drinking greedily. As she gorges herself on Naruto's blood, her moans get louder as she begins grinding her sex against his, and Naruto moves his hands down to her ass, squeezing it much to the embarrassment of Yuko as she has her hands over her eyes but leaves an opening so she can watch. Tsubasa whistles at the scene in front of her. "You know, that's kinda hot, don't you think, Shinobu, Valerie?" Shinobu turns her head away with a blush and a scoff, as if. Meanwhile Valerie is still staring at the two, as Mocha detaches and Naruto flips her over onto her back and bites her neck to drink her from her as well, making her gasp in pleasure. "It's very interesting," she says while gulping with a little drool leaking from her mouth and absently licking her fangs. When Naruto is done, the two stare into each other's eyes, blood dripping from the corners of their mouths. "Welcome to the clan," Naruto says with a smirk on his face, something Mocha mirrors. "Thank you," she replies out of breath and gives him a peck on the lips. The two then get up from the floor and Naruto faces a madly blushing Yuko. Going up to her, he shows his neck. "Well, don't be shy. I can only assume they didn't let you guys feed while you were down here." Patting herself down, Mocha speaks up for Yuko. "They didn't. Probably to break us down or something. Come on, Yuko. Feed on him so we can leave already. I want to take a bath." "But won't I get pregnant?" the green-haired girl stammers out. Yuko has swirls in her eyes and a blush on her face. "I am not ready for children." 3. At this point Naruto is very confused, so he looks to Mocha, who currently has her palm on her forehead. "Did you actually believe that? Uncle Genjiro just said that to try and keep us away from boys," she says, shaking her head. Really?" she asks in disbelief as her eyes turn normal. "Yes, really. Did he never take you out feeding?" Mocha asks with her hands on her hips. "No, Dad usually just gave me blood bags." Mocha sighs and nudges her towards Naruto. "Go ahead, but, ugh, stop being so damn timid," Mocha mutters, annoyed as she shoves Yuko, making her trip and fall into Naruto's arms. He smiles gently and lets her get a better view of his neck, to which she hesitantly sinks her fangs into his skin. Her world explodes at the taste of his blood. It was so good she couldn't help but groan loudly in pleasure, as her eyes flash red and sinks her fangs further into his flesh, wrapping her arms around him. No wonder Mocha looked like she was about to have sex with him. This is so addicting. Letting go to catch her breath, she is pushed against the wall as Naruto takes his turn to plunge his fangs into her. NGH. Yuko shudders and moans as she feels pleasure surge throughout her body from the bite Naruto gives her. She suddenly feels something hard against her crotch and instinctively rubs her lower lips against it, causing another jolt of pleasure to go up her spine. She is about to reach for his belt, but he retracts his fangs and she moans from the loss of pleasure. Looking at her and grinning, Naruto wags his finger at her. "Not so fast, we gotta get you two out of here and back to Japan. I really don't want to deal with reinforcements when I'm this turned on." Blushing at how bold she was being, Yuko just nods shyly as Naruto backs away and goes towards the other three women. When she feels a set of eyes on her, she turns to see Mocha looking at her with a smirk on her face. "Better than blood bags, huh?" Yuko shudders as she rubs her thighs against each other. "Way better." Mika's smirk widens and she puts an arm around the other girl. "So much so you almost pulled out his." "Why, no! Don't say it!" Yuko exclaims in embarrassment as she covers her blushing face. "I don't know what came over me, it just felt so good." Mocha nods. "His is the best blood I've ever had by leagues." "Yes, Naruto's blood is quite exquisite," Valerie says, walking up to the two with Shinobu and Tsubasa next to her. "My name is Valerie Teeps, daughter of the 4th king of Teeps," she introduces while doing a curtsy. "I am Shinobu Ashino, the 4th king of Teeps' niece. And I'm Tsubasa Hinkawa, a Nanakusa that Naru turned last night." The two girls bow in return but still look warily at Valerie and Shinobu. Noticing this, Valerie smiles softly. "You have no need to worry. Shinobu and I have both decided to defect from the Teeps faction." Nodding, Shinobu continues for her cousin. "In fact, I brought Naruto and Tsubasa specifically to free Valerie, as they were using her for the war." Relaxing at that, the two girls nod before Mocha frowns. "So they were using one of their own princesses?" 4. Valerie nods. "Yes, they locked me in the tower and would make me use my sacred gear to bolster our forces. If left alone I fear my mind would have been damaged beyond repair. Naruto puts a hand on her shoulder, giving her a small smile. You won't have to worry about that anymore. You'll have a new home now, all of you do. Mocha grins and flips her hair. Sounds good to me. What about you, Yuko? The green-haired girl blushes. Yeah, but I want to go to school as well before I have to give you babies. Tsubasa's eyes light up at the mention of school. Oh Naru, I wanna go to school too. Alright, fine, we'll talk about it later, Naruto says, chuckling as he walks towards the original opening he made with the girls following behind. Okay girls, grab onto me, we're heading home. Tsubasa jumps on his back. Wrapping her arms around his neck, Shinobu puts a hand on his left shoulder while Valerie grabs his hand on the same side. Mocha grabs his right arm, putting it between her breasts as Yuko grabs his right hand with a blush. Everyone on? Okay. Next stop Kyoto, Japan. Covering everyone in a cloak of lightning, Naruto and the girls vanish in a purple flash. As the group disappears, a girl with long pink hair done up in two pigtails watches with narrowed red slitted eyes. Father will not be pleased. Kyoto. Both Kunu and Yasaka are relaxing on the porch, the younger of the two resting her head on her mother's shoulder as they watch the clear night sky. Suddenly Kunu sits up with her fox ears twitching. Naruto's coming back. Yasaka smiles softly and stands. Your sensing is as amazing as ever, Kunu. I'll never understand how you're able to do that. The young girl puffs her chest out and gains a haughty smirk. Hee, I'm just that great. Yasaka begins giggling until there is a flash of purple and Naruto's group appears in the courtyard. Yo! We're back! The two Ninetales walk up to the group. Welcome back, though it seems you brought more than expected, Yasaka says with a raised eyebrow. Naruto rubs the back of his head sheepishly as the girls let go of him. Yeah, it turns out they were keeping these two as prisoners as well. Well, in that case you are all welcome here, Yasaka says with a bow. I am Yasaka, leader of the Western Yokai faction, and this is my daughter Kunu. Kunu waves with a smile. Hello. The girls smile at the young fox and greet the two with a bow before Mocha speaks up. It's nice to meet you guys and all, but do you have a shower I can use? I really need one. Hee hee. We got something even better. Grabbing her hand, Tsubasa leads her away to the hot spring. You three come too. I'll show you the hot spring. Valerie gains a bright smile and follows after the duo. That sounds like fun. Well, I have always wanted to go to a one someday, Yuko mutters under her breath as she too follows Mocha and Tsubasa. Kunu perks up with excitement and follows them as well. Oh. Me too, me too. Watching the group leave and turn the corner, Shinobu turns around and bows her head to Naruto with tears in her eyes. Thank you so much for helping me save Valerie. I am forever in your debt. Naruto pats the top of her head with a smile. It's fine, Shinobu. I was happy to help, but still. Naruto lifts her chin so she could look into his eyes. I said it was fine. Now go have fun with the other girls. I need to discuss something with Yasaka. Sighing, she nods her head before walking towards the hot spring. Fine, but this conversation isn't over. Watching her leave, Yasaka turns to Naruto with a sly smirk. You sure work fast, don't you, Naruto? It hasn't even been 12 hours yet. Raising an eyebrow at the older woman, he sends a smirk back at her. Oh? Is that jealousy I hear from the illustrious Lady Yasaka? Maybe what else am I supposed to think when you bring in so many young girls at once? It makes me think you don't want anything to do with a single mother like me, she says, pouting as she walks toward him with a sway in her hips, causing her 9 fluffy tails to move in the air hypnotically. Smiling ferally, Naruto steps forward and grabs onto her hips. What brought this on? You're being so forward tonight. She puts a hand on his chest, caressing it. A few things. One of them admittedly is a little jealousy, especially when I can hear you and Tsubasa going at it night after night. Sorry about that. Chuckling, she puts a hand on his whiskered cheek. I was also worried about being attached romantically since I would have to watch you die of old age, but since you went ahead and became a vampire, that worry is gone and now I want you too. Well, I'm right here, and I plan to take full advantage of it. Moving in sync, the two blondes crash their lips together, tongues wrestling for dominance in each other's mouths. Halting for a breath, she puts her forehead against his. Why don't we take this to my room? I wouldn't want Kuno walking in on us, but you'd be okay with any of the other girls doing the same? Naruto asks in a teasing voice as he reaches around and grabs hold of her ear. Putting arms around his neck with a smirk, she pecks him in the lips. I will not lie, that does sound a bit enticing, but maybe next time. Smirking, Naruto lifts her up by her thighs, making her wrap her legs around his waist as he carries her to the room. Once they arrive, he lays her down on the futon, her 9 tails and golden blonde hair splayed out like a sun behind her as he kneels between her legs. Looking down at the elder yokai, Naruto can feel his lust quickly reaching its peak. Her loose sleeping kimono gives a generous view of her large breasts heaving as she breathlessly stares up at him, and the blush on her face sends his new vampiric instincts into overdrive, especially as his eyes bleed red and gains a slit when he takes a look at her neck. Do it, I know you want to. Staring at her pale skin, it's almost as if he could see her veins pulsing with her life force in her neck. Lengthening his fangs, he latches onto her, causing the blonde fox to gasp at the numbing pleasure she feels through her body. Her tails curl around his form as a makeshift blanket as she grinds her lower half against his while moaning. When he finishes feasting on her blood, Yasaka puts her hands on his cheeks, her yellow eyes gaining a fox-like slit, giving her a feral look. Fuck me, I want no, I need you inside me. If that's what you wish, he purrs out, grinning with blood dripping from the corners of his mouth that he licks up. Undoing her already loose kimono, he frees her chest, exposing her puffy pink nipples to the cold night air. Looking lower, he notices her lack of underwear, giving him a clear view of a freshly shaved mound. Gliding his hand over it, he begins rubbing it, as Yasaka rolls her hips in an attempt to stimulate herself more. Oh? Did you shave just for me? I'm flattered. Yasaka bites her lower lip, drawing blood as she places her hands on her tits, playing with her hardened nubs. I did. I've been looking forward to this since you left for Romania. It's all I could think about. Well, you won't have to worry anymore. I'll give you what you want, he says as he leans forward and licks her blood off her lips before taking off his jacket and unbuckling his pants. Slipping them off along with his underwear, Yasaka's eyes widen at the size of the tool Naruto is lining up with her entrance. She grits her teeth as he enters her, stretching her out as it digs deeper, her walls clenched tightly around the intruder. Whether to try and push it out or hold on to it, she doesn't know. Fuck, you're tight, the blonde moans out into her ear as she wraps her arms around him. Why, you're just big GH. I feel like I'm about to be ripped open. Do you want me to? No. Don't you dare stop. I want to feel every inch of you inside me, she moans out as she begins nibbling on his ear. I want to be fucked into the ground by you, Naruto. Please mess me up. She then moves in her hips, sending his pillar of meat further into her depths as she turns into a moaning mess. Naruto can feel his heart speed up at her words, his vampiric urge to dominate the woman moaning and squirming under him. Something within him snaps and he immediately latches onto one of her exposed nipples, sucking on the pink nub as he slams the rest of his length deep into her, causing the fox yokai to let out a loud guttural moan as the tip of his dick smashes into the opening of her cervix when he fucks into her. Yes. Just like that, fuck me into the ground. Breed me like it's mating season, she yells out, holding his head to her chest in an effort to keep him sucking on her tit. I want my empty womb filled with your seed. Use me to restart you, clan. Lifting her hips up, Naruto puts her into a mating press position before continuing to hammer into her relentlessly. You want to populate my clan, huh? Yes. Yes. I do. Yasaka gasps out between moans as her eyes begin to roll up from the pleasure her abused pussy is making her feel. Then here's the first load of many. Pulling out until just the tip is left in, Naruto roughly slams his hips against hers, lining the opening of his tip to the entrance of her womb and begins filling her previously emptied baby maker with his seed. Yasaka's cunt squeezes Naruto's cock for all it's worth, doing its best to milk out as much cum as it can, as she moans with her tongue out, as so much, I'm so full. Depositing one last spurt into her, Naruto slowly pulls out from the still fluttering walls, coming out with a plop as cum starts leaking from Yasaka's vagina. Laying down next to the yokai, both stare at the ceiling breathlessly until Yasaka sits up, her open kimono falling from her shoulders and pooling around her form. I'm ready for you to turn me, Naruto. I want to be with you forever. She then straddles his waist, sitting on his hardening cock. It's been 11 years since you were brought to live with me and Kunu, and I've seen you go from a hardworking little boy to an immensely powerful man. Truth be told, I would have made a move for you eventually, but thanks to you becoming a vampire, I can do so freely without regret. Sitting up on his elbows, Naruto stares into Yasaka's eyes with a smirk. I already promised to turn you once I got back, didn't I? You know I don't break promises, Yasaka. The fox yokai smiles as he fully sits up. She then turns around so her back is against his chest as she sits in his lap. Moving her long blonde hair to the side, she once again exposes her neck to him. You sure don't. Naruto sinks his fangs into his new lover for the second time tonight, this time pushing his magic power into her bloodstream as he wraps his hands around her waist. She spasms a bit from the pain, but it quickly fades as her long canines sharpen into fangs and her eyes bleed red. Her moans begin to come out as Naruto retracts his fangs, licking away any residual blood, and begins to play with her body by using one hand to pinch her nipple and the other to rub her clit. "How are you feeling?" he asks as he slips a finger inside her. "Like I want more of your seed to fill me up," she moans as she grinds her ass in his lap. Grinning, Naruto pushes her forward, making the fox yokai go onto her hands and knees with her ass facing him, giving her perky ass a slap that makes Yasaka yelp in pleasure. He lines himself up with her soaking entrance once more. "You want more of my cum? You can have it." He then slams his full length into her, causing her to grip the futon sheets in pleasure, as the blonde behind her rams into her so fast his hips are a blur. Yasaka's walls begin to flutter and contract as she orgasms around the large cock, reshaping her depths. Her 9 tails swing wildly in the air as she gets fucked into the ground by the father of her future children. But suddenly she is lifted up and walked over to the wall. Pushing her hands and breasts up against it, Naruto resumes his previous pace until he does one last powerful thrust and releases another torrent of baby batter into her. As he pulls out, she turns around and lifts her leg while spreading her pussy lips as his latest release spills from it. "Come on, Naruto, I want more." Being quick to oblige, Naruto slides into her once again as she moans and wraps her arms around his neck while holds her up by the thighs. As she is being bounced up and down her lover's cock, her eyes lock onto his neck. Drooling slightly, she latches on, and her eyes nearly roll to the back of her skull from the rich taste. The flavor hits her so hard she orgasms for the 3rd time that night. When she finally lets go, her eyes turn back to the usual yellow, but her feral slitted pupils remain. Naruto steps away from the wall and back to the futon, where he lays down with Yasaka back to straddling him as she fucks herself on his cock while her hands roam his bare chest and their eyes meet. "Naruto, we're going to keep mating until I pass out, okay? This cock you have is too addicting and I've been craving it for the past 4 years. The blonde moves his hands from her hips to grab her plump ass. "That's fine with me. I've been craving your body since I hit puberty." Grinning, Yasaka picks up her pace, slamming her hips into his lap. This was going to be one of the best nights of her life. Midnight. After a few hours of non-stop mating, Yasaka finally ran out of stamina, passing out right after Naruto deposited his last load into her. Currently both blondes are laying together in her futon with only the light of the moon illuminating the room. Naruto still can't sleep, so he decides to go outside for some fresh air. Slipping away from a contently snoring Yasaka, Naruto puts on some pants and sneaks from the mansion and into the surrounding trees, jumping to a high limb to get a better view of the moon. Sitting down, he stares at the giant white orb in the sky. It seems Lady Tsukuyomi is on full blast tonight. The moon begins to shine brighter, making Naruto squint his eyes. Wow, really on full blast. "Naruto! What the oof?" Crash! Naruto is flung from his perch and onto the forest floor as he is tackled by a silver blur. Opening his eyes and looking up, he's met with the sight of a beautiful woman sitting on his lap, dressed in just a black bikini with red accents, a crop jacket of the same color, a single red stocking on her right leg and black heels on her feet. She also has 3 katanas, 2 strapped to her left side and 1 held by a belt on her left thigh. Her long white hair shines like the moon and her golden eyes, the same shade as her sisters, are glinting with mischief. "Lady Tsukuyomi?" 5. None of that. I told you to call me Suki. "But, Naruto." Fine, he says with a sigh. "What brings you here, Suki?" Wiggling her butt so she can get comfortable on his lap, she smirks down at him. "Well, someone decided to become a child of the night. It made me so flattered I had to come see you myself." The goddess then starts moving her hands over his chest, stopping over his left side. "I also want to give you a gift." Lifting himself up on his elbows, he raises an eyebrow. "A gift?" Grinning, she taps his chest, making a white crescent moon appear over his heart. "Yup, manifest your chains from your wrist." Holding up his left hand, he channels mana through it, and 2 blood-red chains that are barbed on the links and hooked on the end appear. That's new. With these you can now take blood without having to bite into someone, and even read their memories as well as inject those memories into others. This also comes with a bit of memory manipulation. Widening his eyes and inspecting the red chains, he grins widely. "That will be very useful." The goddess then leans forward, pressing her breasts against his bare chest as her lips nearly touch his. I have some information for you as well, it will help you greatly expand your coven. Naruto hesitantly puts his hands on her hips, making the moon goddess's smirk widen, showing fangs of her own. What information is that? Putting her lips next to his ear she whispers, travel to London. There is an old mansion on the outskirts where a vampire whose original master is long gone lives. Go to her. Prove yourself worthy and she will follow you. From there many more will fall into place. Naruto nods as he slowly moves his hands from her waist to her ass. This vampire, what's her name? Sarah's Victoria. She once served the Helsing family until the last had died of old age, leaving no heirs behind. Sitting up, the goddess takes one of his hands from her ass and puts it on her breasts before taking the other and pricking his finger with her fangs, making Naruto flinch from the slight pain and blood to flow from the index finger, which she promptly licks up, moaning as she grinds her sex against his. Your blood tastes just as good as I imagined. But alas, I have duties to attend to, so we'll have to have some fun later. She then stands up, letting Naruto do the same as she turns around, giving him one last look at her shapely rear. Go visit London like I said. If you do and succeed, I'll have a little surprise for you. Winking, the moon goddess disappears in a silver light, leaving a stunned vampire in the clearing before he begins to head back to the mansion so he could sleep. I guess I better tell everyone I'll be heading to England. Next day, as everyone enjoys the breakfast brought by the maids, Naruto tells them of the moon goddess's visit last night. While initially surprised Tsukuyumi would give a gift as well, the group eventually decided Naruto should head there alone while Yasaka and Tsubasa get the other girls used to life in Japan as well as find a school for them to enroll in. That leads to now, as Naruto travels through the clouds in the form of purple lightning headed toward London. Seeing the skyline below him, he halts his technique and begins to free fall. Flashing rapidly down a tall building, he slows his descent before landing on the ground in a crouch. Standing to his full height, he looks up at the full moon in the night sky. Looks to be about 1 a.m. Now where is the mansion? She said outskirts on a hill, but that's not very descriptive. The moon suddenly begins to glow brightly and shoots out a beam headed north. Ah, that'll do it. Jumping up, he hops from building to building, flashing for the long distances, eventually arriving to a large clearing with an old Victorian-style mansion. Whistling in appreciation, Naruto stops on a tree limb just outside of it. That's a huge mansion. I wonder what this vampire is like. Back again, you fuckers? I got more leave for ya. Naruto's eyes widen in surprise as explosions fill the sky. Looking up, he watches as a body falls to the ground at the foot of the tree. A fallen angel? What are the Grigori doing here? Turning back to face the old mansion, he finds the source of the gunfire, and sees a blonde woman with blood-red eyes and a crazed grin on her face. She's wearing an old red version of a policeman uniform top, a mini skirt and torn stockings with ankle-length boots. A patch bearing the Helsing mark is on her left breast and artillery guns are slung over her shoulders. Well, she seems fun, he says with a chuckle as he touches his right forearm, unsealing his blue-bladed katana. Guess I'd better introduce myself. Flashing away, he appears behind the woman. His greeting is cut off when a black and red tendril lashes out at him, forcing him to block with his katana. So you're not just a long-range specialist, huh? Sarah stops firing as she fully faces him, the guns melting into her shadow. It was also now that he notices the tendril that attacked him is actually her left arm. She narrows her eyes at him and shifts her tendril arm into a scythe. How did you get in here, let alone behind me? Sending a grin her way, Naruto rests his blade on his shoulder. I'll be blunt. I came here to recruit you to join my clan of vampires back in Japan. Putting a hand on her hip, she raises an eyebrow. And why should I? What do you have to offer me? Sheathing his sword, he crosses his arms. Well, what do you want? I'm sure we can come to an agreement. Putting her hand under her chin, she thinks for a bit until she smirks and opens her mouth to speak. Actually, G.U.H. A fallen angel falls to the ground, bisected at the waist by Sarah's arm scythe as she growls in annoyance. TCH. I thought I killed all these guys already, but they keep coming back. Naruto walks up next to her and peers out into the night. Seems they came in full force. He then locks onto the form of a six-winged fallen barking out orders behind the charging group. I think I see the leader. I'll go get him while you take out the rest. Deal? Sarah's materializes her artillery guns once again. Alright, fine. But if I hit ya, it's your own fault. Good enough for me, he replies with a chuckle before sprinting towards the edge of the balcony. While drawing his sword and taking a deep breath, water breathing, Ninth form. Splashing water flow, turbulent. Leaping from his position, he lands onto the first fallen's head before jumping to the next, leaving splashes of water on their heads with every bound. Well, I'll be damned, Sarah mutters in surprise as she watches Naruto fast approach the leader of the assault. I still got trash to clean up though. Taking aim, she fires a hail of bullets at the still advancing fallen, mowing them down in droves. Come on, you bastards, and that all you got? Meanwhile, Naruto is halfway to the lead fallen but notices a lack of path in front of him, so he ordered them to move out of the way. Jumping from the last fallen, Naruto lands onto the ground, cratering it slightly from the height of his fall. Looking up, he sees the six-winged fallen staring at him with a sneer. I don't know who the hell you are or why you're helping that vampire bitch, but you'll both die all the same. Light spears ready. The army of fallen in front of him all raise their hands and focus their magic until many different spears of light form. Fire. Naruto looks up at the wall of sharpened light fired in his direction. Stilling his body, he breathes once again. 11th form. Dead calm. As the attacks reach his position, they are all suddenly deflected, blocked, or cut at an imperceptible speed. Not a single spear makes it through, stunning the group and causing many of them to lose their nerve. Gritting his teeth at the failure of the attack and the terrified looks on the other fallen's faces, he begins to yell, All of you, don't be afraid, he is only one man, there is no way he could do the same again. Ready your spears! Hesitantly the fallen do the same as before, only this time Naruto doesn't wait. Disappearing in a purple flash, the blonde appears midair in front of the nearest fallen. The man only has the time to widen his eyes before his head is cut off and Naruto flashes away again. Panic spreads through the ranks as a series of purple flashes go off within the group, leaving many headless fallen in its wake. Our retreat. The lower-ranked fallen begin to flee in terror as they watch their comrades easily get picked off, not bothering to listen to their commander yelling for them to stand their ground. But before he could say more, Naruto appears behind him, slicing all 6 of his wings in one fluid motion, causing him to fall to the ground in pain. Landing next to the man, Naruto picks him up by the throat. Did you like that technique? It created by my dad. He called it spiraling flash super round dance howl style 3-6. What kind of name is that? The blonde shrugs his shoulders as his eyes turn red and he materializes red chains from his left wrist. I don't know, he was never good at naming things. But thanks for being the one I get to test Suki's gift on. The fallen howls in pain as the chains dig deep into his flesh and begin draining his life force, squeezing him dry as it attacks his brain as well. Naruto closes his eyes as memories that aren't his own come through. He quickly sifts through them, finding the reason for the attack on the old Helsing mansion and other plans. But there is one that catches his interest as he lets it play out. So, you'll get healed by the girl to make her get thrown from the church? The fallen whose memories he's currently experiencing asks. A man with dark green hair, dressed as a noble with squinted eyes, nods, yes. With her losing her saint title and the church's protection, she'll be easier to acquire for my collection. How do you know this plan will even work? The priest that heads her church is wildly jealous of her gift. He leapt at the chance to get her excommunicated. That's when you come in and give her a place to stay. We'll still get the sacred gear, right? A dark-haired woman in a bondage uniform pipes up from the side. Yes, of course. My pets have no need of such things. Humph, then you have a deal, Astaroth. He pleasure doing business with you. Blinking his eyes as the memory fades, he looks down at the corpse of the fallen commander, now a dried-out husk. Tossing it away, he dusts off his hands as Sarah's lands next to him and whistles. You really drained him dry, huh? I don't think I've ever seen a vampire do that before. Naruto's eyes turn back into their original purplish-blue color, as he chuckles sheepishly. I actually didn't mean to do that. But have you come up with something yet? Sarah puts her hands behind her back and puts a smile on her face. I sure have. You're gonna let me open up a book cafe 7. He raises an eyebrow in questioning. A book cafe? Why? I've always wanted to own a cafe since I was a little girl, and since you're part of some clan in Japan you can afford it, right? Naruto's sweat drops as he points to the mansion. Couldn't you have done that yourself? Wouldn't you be like the sole inheritor of the Helsing fortune since you served the last head? Nah, Lady Integra had everything except the mansion itself donated to the church when she passed, told me to do what I wanted with it. So I've just been squatting here. She then puts a hand on her chin. Speaking of which, I don't know why those crows were so hard-pressed on coming here anyway. There's nothing of worth. They wanted the building itself to make a base in. They just weren't expecting such a heavy resistance from you. So, you read his memories, huh? I was actually gonna do that myself before you turn him into a raisin, but anyway, follow me, I need to get something before we head out. Black and red bat wings sprout from her back, looking to be the same material as her arm. Sarah's then takes off into the sky back to the mansion, not noticing the look Naruto had on his face. But I can't fly yet, damn it, I knew I should have asked Shinobu for lessons before leaving Kyoto. Oh well, he shrugs as he flashes away. Back with Sarah's, she lands in the gardens behind the mansion but finally notices the lack of Naruto's presence. Where is Higa? Stop that! Naruto tilts his head to the side in mock confusion, trying desperately to keep the shit-eating grin off his face. Stop what? Staring at him with an annoyed expression, she sighs, whatever, turning back to the garden. More specifically a bush of roses. Or Red Current, get out here, we're leaving. Oh my, you finally decided to move on, Sarah? The blonde vampire scoffs. Someone came with a deal too good to pass up. We can have our own book cafe as long as we join his clan in Japan. A woman suddenly emerges from the bushes with a large smile on her face. Truly? Yeah, Mita, sorry, what was your name? I never asked, Sarah says with an embarrassed blush in her face as she rubs her cheek. Naruto smile and bows. My name is Naruto Yuzuke's, head of the Yuzuke's clan. It is a pleasure to meet you. The woman does a curtsy. I am Red Current, an ancient vampire, or more specifically a Lianan Sidhi, a type of fairy that drinks blood. In Naruto's opinion, Red Current has to be one of the most beautiful women he's ever set eyes on. She has pale skin, short pale blonde hair, pointed ears and haunting red eyes with a slit pupil. She is clad in a very daring purple dress that leave much exposed, leaving very little to the imagination, especially her large breasts that could give Yasakas a run for their money. Taking her hand, he kisses her knuckles. It's very nice to meet you, Red Current. Putting a hand on her cheek with a small blush, the fairy begins to giggle. Oh my, handsome and a charmer. Say, do you write any books? Just one. I'm continuing my late godfather's books, the Makeout series. Both female vampires widen their eyes. You write the series now? I absolutely loved the Oni princess from the last book. And the part with her little sister watching was thrilling. Red Current exclaims happily. Naruto sheepishly rubs the back of his head from the praise. Well, it was all based on a true story. Oh Sarah, we should try to get into a book too. You'd like that, wouldn't you, Naruto? Well, I definitely wouldn't mind, he replies with a smirk. You too, Sarah mutters as she rubs her thighs together. She was still a virgin after all these years, and those books always got her hot and bothered. Shaking herself out of her lust-filled trance, she decides to speak up. Well, are you coming with us, Red? Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't miss it for the world, she exclaims as she grabs Naruto's arms and holds them between her bust. He's the total package. Not to mention I can take all the blood I want from him without worry of him dying. Sarah puts her finger under her chin. It has been a while since I've had blood from someone besides Red. Well, you two can help yourselves. The girls back home say it tastes really good, Naruto says as he moves his hoodie collar to expose his neck. Red Current wastes no time in accepting his generosity. However, instead of sinking her fangs into his neck, she plants her lips on his, using her fangs to bite into his tongue. Drawing blood, she slurps it up with her own, prompting Naruto to do the same. Sarah watches as the two swap spit and blood. She can tell the blonde's blood tastes divine from the way Red Current was currently a mewling mess from just the kiss alone. Walking forward as the two separate from their lip lock, Sarah kneels in front of Naruto and grabs his left hand. Taking his pointer finger, she pricks it with her fawn, letting his blood flow as she submissively sucks on the bloody digit, moaning at the taste. 8. Naruto gulps as he looks down at the vampire suck on his finger. The stark difference between her brash and confident attitude when mowing down dozens of fallen to being very submissive at the taste of his blood, it was such a turn on. As she licks the last of the blood from his finger, she looks back up at him. Naruto then kneels in front of with his fangs extended and his eyes back to vampiric red, looking at the female vampire with lust in his eyes. As if knowing what he wants, Sarah unbuttons her uniform top, exposing her neck and letting him get a view of her cleavage. Drooling at the sight, Naruto inches closer until his mouth is right over an artery. Sinking his fangs into her skin, Naruto begins greedily drinking from her, making the female vampire throw her head back and moan in pleasure as she wraps her arms around him. Red Current giggles as she floats behind them. Fufu life is going to be more interesting from now on. After Naruto disengages, Sarah moans in disappointment, causing the blonde to chuckle. I know, I know, but there was something else in that fallen's memories I need to act on. Have either of you been to Italy? The two women tilt their heads. I've never left Britain. What about you, Sarah? I've been to Rome with Lady Integra once. Why do you ask? Standing up while helping Sarah's who starts buttoning up her uniform, Naruto smiles. There's a little saint who's just been excommunicated, and I'm going to bring her into the fold. Redcurrant floats up and hugs him from behind. That sounds like fun. I've always wanted to visit Rome, ever since their soldiers first came to this island. 9. Well, you're in luck, cause as soon as you two are ready we're headed there, he says as he holds on to her, giving the fairy a piggyback ride. I'm ready. How about you, Sarah? Yeah, I'm good. Just one thing. She suddenly materializes a remote with a red button. I had a contingency plan just in case those crows overran me. She then presses the button and a loud boom is heard as the mansion becomes engulfed in flames. We better leave now, cause soon this place will be nothing but a crater. Okay then, hold on tightly, cause we're taking the express flight to Rome. Nodding, Sarah grabs his hand while Redcurrant holds onto him tighter. The three are then covered in purple lightning before shooting off into the sky just as the clearing explodes into a giant fireball. Rome, Italy. Asia Argento, the holy priestess, known for healing all those who would come to her with her blessing given by God since birth, though now it feels like a curse. Just a week ago she was doing her duties as a sister of the church just like she's done her whole life, but she had stumbled upon a devil that had been wounded. She knew she should have just reported it to the nearest exorcist, but she healed him anyway, and after that he went on to kill a priest, resulting in her excommunication and being labeled a witch for being able to heal God's enemies. Asia can't help but feel some anger at both the devil and the priest who handed down her judgment. God had given her this gift, didn't he? So why is it suddenly evil due to healing a devil? They were God's creations too, after all. Then the fallen came with a deal for her. It was a bit suspicious how they found her so fast. Only 2 hours later. But they said they would give her a church to stay at a town in Japan to revive it. She didn't agree immediately, so they gave her a month to think on it, providing her with a hotel to stay in. Getting up from her bed, she walks to the open window, bathing in the moonlight, her pale skin, long blonde hair and large green eyes along with her white full-length sheer nightgown would make any man think she was an angel in human form. Putting her hands together in prayer, she kneels on the ground. As she is about to start praying, her room is suddenly bathed in darkness, startling her to her feet. Poor Asia, thrown away so easily by those she dedicated her life to. Who's there? The darkness coalesces into a corner and Naruto, Sarah's and Redcurrant walk out. Naruto has a grin on his face that shows off his fangs before turning to his two companions. Thanks for the entrance, Sarah's. You two can go see the nightlife. Nodding with a smile, she looks to her fairy companion. Come on, Red, I know a great place to get pizza. Sounds fun, Sarah, let's go. The two then fade into the blackness of the corner, leaving Naruto and a stunned nun alone in the hotel room. Asia stumbles backwards until her back hits the wall. The vampire. Correct, my dear holy maiden, my name is Naruto Yuzuke, head of a vampire clan from Japan, he says with a bow. Why are you here? What do you want from me? Naruto walks closer to her, stopping right before her, his vampiric eyes glowing in the moonlight. At first I just wanted to tell you the truth of the conspiracy that centers around you, but now I just want you. I can't help but feel like your blood would taste heavenly, he purrs into her ear, making the nun shudder from his breath tickling her skin. The blonde nun feels her knees become weak as the vampire in front of her continues to press himself against her. An unfamiliar wetness begins to form between her legs, making her rub her thighs together, as she feels her hardened nipples scrape against her nightgown. MMGH. Naruto leans forward, kissing and sucking on her collar, getting a small gasp. Oh gods, I can feel my instincts to corrupt you running wild. But alas, I made a promise to Lady Amaterasu that all will have the choice whether to join or not, he mutters as he takes his lips from her soft skin, idly noticing the bruise that begins to form from his ministrations with a smirk, putting a finger under her chin so he can stare into her eyes. So I'll give you two options after I tell you the truth. You can come with me and join my clan in Japan, or be used as a tool by that devil that you healed and his fallen co-conspirators. Looking up at his red-slit eyes breathlessly, she stutters, what do you mean? Conspiracy? Shifting her chin to the side to expose more of her neck, he sends her a smirk. You'll see, and don't worry about your pretty little neck. I'm sure you can heal it if you reject my offer, extending his fangs. He bites into Asia's neck, making the girl grit her teeth from the slight stabbing pain. But it quickly fades as memories rush into her mind. Her eyes begin to swell with tears as the truth was revealed. Even Father Leonardo, she begins to sink to the floor, but Naruto catches her, pulling the girl into his chest so she can cry. After letting her cry for a few minutes, Naruto pats her on the head. So what is your decision? Will you come with me to Kyoto or stay with those who wish to abuse you? Looking up with puffy, red eyes, she nods. I accept. My own church abandoned me. Even the people I healed before call me mean names whenever they see me now. And the one place I thought I could redeem myself at was just a farce so they could take my powers and sell me off. Putting a hand her cheek, Naruto gives her a soft smile. You won't have to worry about that anymore. You're a part of my family now. Nodding, the nun moves her hair to the side and exposes her neck. Naruto then bites into her once again, channeling his magic through his fangs and into her. Asia whimpers from the pain in her neck as Naruto gently lowers them both to the ground. She bites into her lip, accidentally cutting it when her fangs grow in. Her previously innocent green eyes bleed red and her pupils elongate into slits as she grips onto his hoodie. Naruto lets go of Asia's neck and rubs her cheek while she looks at him, panting, You're thirsty, right? Seeing her rapidly nod, he moves his jacket collar to show her his own neck. Go ahead and drink, it'll make you feel better. Asia then gets into his lap, jolting a bit when she feels her privates rub against something hard in his pants. Deciding to ignore that for now, she focuses on his neck. Opening her mouth, she plunges her newly grown fangs into him, eyes widening at the taste, prompting her to dig in deeper in order to greedily consume more. Retracting from his neck, Asia licks her bloody lips, savoring the taste but leaving trails of blood on the corners of her mouth. Chuckling, Naruto wipes it off with his finger before Asia begins sucking on it. Are you ready to come to your new home then? Yes, Lord Naruto. Lord? But what about the fallen angels and rogue priests? Won't they be suspicious if I suddenly disappear? Raising an eyebrow at her use of the Lord title, he channels magic and in a poof of smoke a perfect copy of Asia appears next to the two. Asia looks at her clone dumbfounded before looking at Naruto with a questioning look. 10. This clone will cover for you while I get you used to being a vampire and being in the clan back at Kyoto. However, I want you to join up with the fallen again in Kyoto to make sure they don't harm anyone. But I'm not much of a fighter. How would I be of any help in case anything happens? She says while looking down at her hands. I only know how to heal. Naruto pats her head comfortingly. We'll train you, plus I'll be moving to Kyoto with the others as well. They really want to go to school and that place is going to be the center of some trouble for a while, he says, remembering the plans he saw and the memories he acquired. Okay then, Lord Naruto, you know you don't have to add that title to my name, right? I'm not gonna be bossing you around or anything. Asia rapidly shakes head. No, I insist. You saved me from such a horrible fate. Of course I'd address you properly. Naruto sighs and ruffles his hair. Fine, but make sure you give thanks to Lady Amaterasu and the other Shinto gods as well. Without them none of this would have ever happened. Lady Amaterasu? She asks with a tilt of her head. She's the head god of your new pantheon, the goddess of the sun, and gave me her blessing in finding people to restart my clan. Asia's cheeks erupt into a blush. So does that mean you and I will? She stutters out before letting out an eep when Naruto pushes her down to the ground and looms over her with a grin on his face. Yep, you're gonna have my kids one day. Her face turns fully red at his words and she starts to feel her privates heat up again, along with the previous wetness between her thighs coming back. But that'll be when we're both ready and strong enough. There are too many potential enemies and I plan on putting you in school with the other girls when the initial fallen problem is dealt with. Oh, okay. Just as the two get up, Sarah's and Red Current return to the room. Hey, Naruto, did you turn her yet? Red Current floats over to Asia, inspecting her from head to toe. Yeah, he did, and it seems it was intense from the way her arousal is wafting off of her. Seeing the nun's face turn red once again, Naruto chuckles and calls the ancient fairy over. Don't tease her, Red Current. And Sarah's, when we get to Kyoto I want you to train Asia in how to fight. She only knows how to heal and I want her to be able to defend herself. Sarah's gives a salute. You got it. He then turns back to Red Current. You ladies have fun out there? The fairy kisses his cheek. Oh, the views were amazing. And the food was good too. Can we come back? Sure, but let's go. You have to introduce yourselves to the others. Sarah's nods as she grabs his left hand and Red Current latches onto his back tightly. Naruto then turns to Asia and holds out his other hand with a smile. Come on, Asia. Let's go to your new home. The blonde-haired nun grabs onto the hand with a wide smile, interlacing her fingers with his. Yeah, let's go home, Lord Naruto. Sarah's looks at the two confused. Wait, did she call you Lord? The group then disappears in a purple flash headed back to Kyoto, leaving the clone of Asia behind in the room.